believe in your dreams with everything you fucking have.
The simple fact is, CEO of Sparta Brands, Jeff Cisneros, is dead on the money. Unless you believe and are willing to sacrifice in anything you do, that dream will never, ever be accomplished. Jeff should know about dreaming and struggling. To get Sparta off the ground was a monumental climb.
I want to say the event permit was like $600, so I needed an extra $100. Aluminum was paying really well at the time, so we legitimately collected enough cans to get the other $100.
Wow.
To make it go.
Nobody ever said dreams were easy. In fact, this one was damn near impossible. Collecting aluminum cans, but with that first event, it was a spark. Cisneros found two fighters who helped him boost the Sparta brand. Shannon Sin on the ladies' side, and Josh Copeland, the first to make it to the UFC.
Honestly, once Shannon and Josh came over, they were two of the most popular fighters in the state. They started to be my biggest advocate, our biggest advocates, in telling other fighters, hey, you know, come on over to Sparta. They treat us good. They do what they say. And they were the trendsetters. They were the pioneers for Sparta Combat League.
To watch where we went from pretty much nothing. I remember we were selling tickets for $25, $35, $45, and front row seats were $55. As the Sparta brand got bigger, there was more value in it, and tickets just started getting more and more expensive. And as they got more expensive, that was it was a nice way to put extra money in the fighter's pocket, since we're getting a percentage of that. So just being able to go from watching Sparta as a baby to where they are today, it's been a really cool journey.
When Jeff came and approached myself and my coach Albert, he was really upfront. He told us what he envisioned, and it was kind of a no-brainer at that time. He treated you like you were a big-time fighter. There was no doubt that Sparta was going to do well, and especially the way Jeff is hungry to get bigger and better. So Sparta really got me seen by a lot of good eyes out there.
As the Sparta brand continued to grow, it needed a consistent headliner, and that fighter happened to be Justin J. Train Gonzalez, who became the Sparta featherweight champ. But not just a champion, an ambassador for Sparta Sports and Entertainment.
There's no easy way to say it besides this. I'll cut right to the chase. A lot of times when you hear the name of a promoter, the first thing you think is dirtbag, gonna do you dirty, and he's only about making money and making a card. That's all that's important. Jeff, not the case, man. He cares about his fighters. He took care of me for a long time. We still, to this day, have a great relationship. Jeff Cisneros is a smart man. He's an entrepreneur. He dreamed big. He shot for the stars, and he's creating something that is not very easy to do.
But it's also success after Sparta Sports and Entertainment that defines its value in the MMA community. Dozens of fighters have advanced to the big time, be it UFC, Bellator, or PFL. You're talking about the Sandman, Corey Sandhagen, Ian Hurricane Heinisch, Grant the Truth Neal, Archie King Colgan, Dustin the Hanyak Jacoby, and Raw Dog, Brandon Royval, who fights for the UFC Flyweight World title December 16th. That's quite a resume. But this fight game and the game of life has ups and downs. Adversity can come from anywhere, and it came to Jeff Cisneros in July 2021 when he was involved in an accident and cracked the back of his skull open, losing part of his memory.
People, I don't think, know the seriousness of what you went through. I do, because we talked all the time.
Yeah.
Which sometimes you didn't even remember.
Yeah.
Talk about that adversity, because dude, you forgot how you even started Sparta.
Yeah, it was, it was definitely the darkest chapter of my life, and going through and trying to rediscover my passion, who I was as a person, my identity. You know me, I'm all gas, no bricks, Todd.
Yeah,
so having that ripped from me, it was devastating for two reasons. One, I didn't really remember who I was as a person, and two, I felt like I had no purpose in life anymore.
You couldn't draw upon those memories and that juice that got you to where you are. I mean, you and I were talking one day, and I remember you were forgetting a fighter.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy, you know, and, you know, going through the neurological rehabilitation after the accident. And, you know, I think one of the hardest things to come by was like, you know, I had all these things that I dreamed of as a kid growing up and building the businesses, but I didn't feel like they were mine because I didn't remember the process after the accident. It was very hard for me in just so many different ways, you know.
And we're not talking a week or two.
No.
We're talking, what, a year and a half?
Yeah,
Jeff, do you think?
It took about a year and a half to like kind of get grips on the situation of what had happened.
Right.
And what I had actually been through. And then part of the setback, I'm like living this life, and I think that like I'm healed and I've come back. And I woke up one morning and I had the worst headache I've ever had in my life. But of course I was scared to go to the doctor because I was done with it. You know, unfortunately, last August, I had an unruptured brain aneurysm and I had to have emergency surgery. That was August of 2022, not this, not this one. But I was just like, here we go again. You know, I got it done, and, you know, recovery was still tough. But I would say it took a full 2 years, Todd, for me to really discover exactly like, you know, what happened.
But as tough people do, they recover. And Cisneros has done just that. And any great innovator is always trying to come up with something new. Cisneros came up with a dandy that most felt was far-fetched.
Ultimately, it's like the king of Sparta. You know, everybody told me like, dude, you're gonna have guys box, then kickbox, then do MMA. And honestly, it was molded after one of my favorite fighters in the world, LT Nelson, because he's fucking hell to deal with on his feet. And you have to deal with that guy for 2 rounds, 2 different fights on your feet. You're not probably gonna fend too well.
And they did not. LT Nelson has been a savage in just about every combat sport you can imagine. And among his many straps and belts, he brought the King of Sparta to life as a 3-time champ in 2 different weight classes.
This King of Sparta just was everything in my books, and put the right direction for me as well, because, you know, I'm more of a stand-up fighter, so it sort of seeded the boxing first, then the kickboxing, then the MMA. It sort of slowly seeded out the just wrestlers, the just jiu-jitsu guys, and then at the end, for the finals, a lot of the times there were still good jiu-jitsu guys, good wrestlers and everything, but there were a lot more all-rounded fighters, and I think in the end, in any situation, it makes for a better fight.
The dedication to the Sparta brand runs deep. It helped relaunch a career with a fighter whose options were running out. The Hanyak, Dustin Jacoby.
I was at a position in my career where the big show wasn't interested, from what I was told, and it was hard to get regional guys on the regional scene to fight me. And Sparta did just that. You know, they gave me an opening in the Sparta heavyweight tournament, and I went in there and capitalized. So I do owe Sparta and Jeff a thank you for revitalizing my career and just giving me the opportunity to go out there and prove my worth and eventually get signed by the UFC.
With all the success in the fight game, the Sparta brand has expanded, allowing Cisneros several streams of revenue that will ensure the success of Sparta Sports and Entertainment going forward. Something Jeff is very proud of.
There's 8 Sparta brands and growing right now. We own the digital media company. We have a studio in Boulder, Colorado. We own an automotive customization shop in Lafayette, Colorado. We own a commercial janitorial company. We're in commercial real estate. We're in residential real estate. We have our first office park. It's called the Sparta Brands Office Park and Retail Center. You know, Sparta, everything started with that $500 and, you know, has grown into 8 companies and counting. Everything can be tied back to the sports and entertainment company because that was the platform.
What's next after Sparta 100? Who knows what Jeff Cisneros will come up with. But I know one thing for sure, it will be something special.